Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 4 of Ishura. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So obviously this episode gives us a little bit of time of, I'm going to butcher the name, it's like Nihilo. We don't really get much time of her. We saw her like a little bit at kind of like a post-credit scene last episode. Like it seemed like someone was going to break her out of prison or whatever. I don't know if that's associate of hers or not. The dude that's with the angel or whatever, right? Well, this episode, it was more so focusing on like what Aracia is going to do after like Dekai massacred their entire Secret Service squad that was in Lithia last episode. It's like, yeah, we're not going to send more people. If we put more people undercover, we're just going to be sending them to their death. But we're going to have people staked out at this particular place, and they're going to basically go on the more offensive because they're trying to find out how to respond with this whole situation. So they're going to send in Nihilo, and she's like a bioweapon. Once again, we didn't get a lot of time with her, but they were saying like, yeah, she single-handedly like wiped out like a whole squadron from Aracia by herself. We also saw like some giant beasts behind her. We didn't really get to see what it looked like, so I'm like, did she summon that thing? Is that a special power of hers? Is she a visitor, or is she just someone from this world that's just that crazy powerful? I'm curious to find out what her circumstance. Like I said, we didn't get enough. It was more so about Aracio's response and Hidao, like it falling on him because he's the one kind of stuck in charge of this whole operation. So because it's supposed to go to the other person in this episode. She's not like the episode's not named after her, but she's a key figure in this episode. Was it Elia? Was it Red Flag? I believe her name is, but she's on their cover. And I guess I don't watch enough anime with nudity, so it kind of catches me off guard. Sometimes I'm like, wow, once again, I guess like fan servicey elements like that, where it's just like, I don't know why I'm acting like that, considering I've played video games recently that have had that, but it just took me for a second, like, wow, I just wasn't expecting that much nudity. I mean, it's not like it's full nudity, but once again, I'm harping on it, but it just like, it took me a second to be like, I won't lie to you, like, I had to wait. I was like, okay, I'm not going to use any of this element as like a thumbnail photo for this this episode, because I'm like, I don't want YouTube flagging that. So like, luckily there are moments in the episode where she's clothed, but that scene kept going. I was like, is she not going to be enclosed this entire episode? But it's like, no, that rectified. Once again, that's just like a inside baseball response, or just like, of like behind the scenes of, oh, I'm trying to pick a thumbnail from this episode. But either way, tangents and all that aside, what was interesting though is finding out, like, right, she is there undercover, and you're like, well, what is she there for? Because she has said she is hanging out with this elf girl, and she was like, I can never let her know the truth of why I'm here. Because she ended up breaking down like the different levels of the arts, the word arts, how they fall into different categories: thermal, craft, force, and life. And there's not much of a delineation for the elves, because I guess like all word arts kind of fall into the same category, where it's like Minia's like delineate between the different ones. So thermal arts are just thermal arts. It's pretty straightforward. What was the one that she explained? The craft arts makes it so that you can't. No, force arts is where she started, where it's like basically it almost kind of gives you like almost a telekineticness to it. It's kind of what force arts is. You kind of like throw stuff. You can even use it to fly momentarily. So there's that. Craft arts makes it so that you can change the shape of something. So taking like water, and you don't change it into ice, but you change its actual shape, and she actually made it into like a rectangle / cube. And then finally you have life arts, which allow you to heal, but you can only do it when it's someone you are close to, because word arts involve words. So you need to understand, you need to have such a communication and a connection to the person that you'll be able to find the actual words to convey what you need to say. It's like the incantations of a spell. You need the words have to match the relationship, and if you can't find the words to heal, like in that, because you don't have that relationship with the person, I guess like life arts fail. But apparently it can also be used kind of in the opposite spectrum of craft arts, which changes the property, which changes the shape of things. Life arts can change the properties of it. And she was like, it's not the only way it's get implemented, because pull a little bit of a Jesus here, turning water into wine. I think that was specifically done that way on purpose. But we also see it seems like she killed someone with that. So I was like, oh, is that what your role is? Are you kind of like a Black Widow where you kind of seduce people, but you kill them with poison? Like, I was wondering, because she is later like, Kia refers to her as like a Professor Viper, and I don't know. I thought like Kia knew everything there was to know about Elia, but it's like no, she doesn't, because she's just like, oh, she's just our fun teacher that shows up here, yada yada. We'll get to that soon enough, but they don't know the depths of like who she really is and what she's capable of. We know that she's one of the ministers. She's specifically like, well, what was the word? What was it? Administratives? Oh, officials, I think was like the word. But like she's like the 17th one, so obviously she's someone of significance. But I'm curious, is that just like her special role, like being the assassin? Because it seems like that might be kind of her company. Like, because they cut to that scene a little bit of like, it seemed like she was drinking wine with someone, so she probably most likely changed the property of the wine to be poison and ended up killing the guy that way. I don't know. Like, considering they were in bed together, it seemed like that's how she gets close to people. Like she's a very Black Widow assassin type of situation. That might be like her role in Horatia. But obviously she's put on the front of like, oh yeah, I'm just some teacher, and she came here specifically for Kia because Kia is on some next level stuff. Kia, they gave her the subtitle, what is it? The world word. Basically, her word arts are on another level because she doesn't have to do like an incantation like literally everyone else does. She could just say something and make it happen. It kind of gives me vibes, especially with the name World Word. It kind of, if you're familiar with Preacher, it reminds me of the Word of God. So if you've never seen Preacher, or like, I've only watched the show, I've never read the comic, but I'm sure there's like, that's still true to even to the graphic novel. But basically, anytime Jesse would say something with the Word of God, it would happen, even if you meant it figuratively. So, for example, he literally tells a character to go to hell. He meant it figuratively, but the character literally gets dragged to hell. It's that type of thing, and it feels like her power's in that same boat, because she even says like, oh yeah, I can beat anyone. All I have to do is tell them to die, and they will. Like, her power over nature is just that. Like, that is like overpowered. But because even the Word of God has its limitations. I'm curious to see what her limitations will be. It doesn't seem like there is any. Just like anything she wants to do, like she made a plant grow just so it would lower her down on the ground. Then she had it return to its seed form, and then she had it go back inside the flower it came from. Like, it's like that level of power. Even though able to clear away a cloudy, like, just so her and her friends could see the view. She's just like, yeah, clear away. It's just like that. It's like, that is amazing. That is crazy powerful. And we find out why Elliot's here. She's not necessarily here specifically for Horatia. I'm sure they'd be happy with it, but because she does comment, like, she has, like, once again, she is here undercover, and she's been sending updates back to Horatia about the place. And she's like, right, eventually Horatia is going to come here and take everything from this place, which she kind of feels bad about, because like, she came here under false pretenses, but she did get closer to people here, so it kind of sucks. But she has her own goal in mind. Like, it's probably for the greater of Horatia, but it's also like on a personal level. She came to get Kia because the battle that like the champions things is happening, and she wants Kia to be her champion. It's like, if she goes in there and wins the competition and becomes like, the hero, I win in the end, because it's like, I'm the one who brought her here, so I'll gain because she's the daughter of a concubine. So I guess her father's someone of note, but she's a bastard child because her mom's a concubine, and because of that, she doesn't, like, even despite being in the position she's in, I guess she still wants to go higher, and just her reputation isn't what she wanted to be. Like, she's still probably like, yeah, she's in her position, but they're still probably like, yeah, but it's earlier. Like she doesn't get the respect she deserves. She will always be seen as like the bastard child. She will always be seen as less than. So and that's why I'm really curious about like who her father is. Like, who is that person of note? If like, if that concerns her so much. But yeah, that's all she wants Kia for, is to bolster her reputation. And then at the end, when Kia showcased that, she's like, oh my god, Kia's so invincible. And Kia notices another note of her crying, because for her, it's like, this is probably what she's been aiming for her entire life. It's like, we started at the bottom, and I'm trying to make my way to the top, and now everything I've always wanted, this will be my opportunity. It finally is here. It's within grasp, and I know I can make it come true, because no one will be able to stop Kia. Once again, all she has to say is die and you're dead. But that's also the thing, because she thinks, like, bringing, like, creating this whole situation of making so, like, oh no, Kia's gonna study in Aracia, not to, like, once again, you're gonna be able to manipulate the situation. You're like her trusted teacher. She's kind of got that tsundere thing going on of, like, leave me alone, Baka, like, I'm really not like that, yada yada yada. She's kind of got that whole element going on for her, but she likes her teacher, and she'll probably do what she says, and she'll probably be manipulated. She's very good at manipulating people to get what she wants, it seems. So that was kind of a really interesting development on that front. Because I was about to say, like, once you start broaching that conversation, like, oh yeah, I want you to enter this competition of fighting, I want you to do it. I mean, Kia's, like, bold enough to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna kick ass, like, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. But it does seem like, so I don't think she's got an inflated enough ego. She's also young and arrogant enough to kind of be okay with that. But I'm curious if, like, Aracia does what it does, like, what happens to her home. They're going to be separated for so long, so maybe she'll probably send letters to her family, or tell Elia, like, oh, could you, like, write to my family? Say, oh yeah, sure, no problem, and just never send the letters. Or there's no way it's going to work out for Elia in that regard. But I don't know, like, if she can keep manipulating her long enough, it could all work out. But I get the feeling like that. It feels like that relationship and that dynamic is destined to go sour. That Kia's going to find out the truth about who she really is, and end up having to kill her. It feels like that's the pathway that could go down, but who knows? Once again, I've never read the light novel. I've never even read the manga that has also been adapted into. This is my first experience with the story once again, so I'm just guessing. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see, once again, how that transpires and where that whole situation ends up. Like I said, it is sad, like, her playing that teacher role and what future awaits that village, in the grand scheme of things, of, like, what Aracia could end up taking from it. Because once again, she said Aracia will most likely take everything that this village has, and she kind of feels bad about it, but once again, it's what Aracia wants and it needs, so she's putting their wants first. But before even all that, it's my own personal wants of what I need. So I'm going to do all of this. I might be damning this place in the process, but it's a win-win-win. Well, it's a win-win loss. A win for Aracia, a win for me on a personal level, and they'll have to be the sacrificial lambs to pay the price for what I want, type of thing. I don't know. It's probably a thing of, even if Elia wasn't getting what she's getting out of this, being Kia, it probably would have turned into this eventually anyway. Like, I mean, to be fair, like, she almost makes it sound like she stumbled across this place and she worked this whole situation to her benefit. But once again, she is undercover, and she was sending back reports to Aracia. So she is there undercover. So I don't know if that was 100% her idea, and then she kind of roped Aracia into being like, okay, this is what I'm doing here. Let me explain what's going on here. Or whether Aracia specifically sent her out specifically for the undercover job. That, which came first in the situation. So I mean, that's pretty much really all there was. Like, most of the episode revolved around everything in that village, mainly revolved. I mean, it feels like sometimes, like, that happens with these episodes where it's like one storyline ends up taking over more presence. Cause I feel like the Kai of it all, like, was kind of split, because that was kind of him and Terran, but I felt like Reneji was kind of more of the episode, but that might be my misremembering. It was like a week ago, so like that. Actually, I think it was like a couple days ago. Either way, like maybe that was a lot more split than this felt like, because once again, it's also like we never got a lot of time with. Like I said, I'm going to butcher the name. It's like Nihilo. Like, we didn't really get a lot of time with her. We only have like 2 scenes with her, because most of that, like I said, was focused on Hidao. So, but either way, I'm excited to see where the next episode ends up taking us with all of this, who our next characters are going to be, and who and what their stories are. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.